Okay, I'll open it up for citizen comments. Is there anything from the community we can address, talk?
Shut up, Jerry.
Ma'am, what?
No.
Oh,
He was gonna say something myself.
okay. I'm going to be, I'm going to be kind of running the agenda here, but Patrick is going to be, this is a budget meeting, so our treasurer, Patrick, is going to be running the show here. So with that, I'll let you take off on discuss, review, and approve operational relationship with ESD1.
Okay, we've invited Chief Cooke from ESD1 to come down and give us a presentation of what he might be able to do for this organization and for the community.
I got one comment to add with that. Just so everybody knows, we're always looking for the best ways we can serve the community, and we're always going to be looking for different relationships. And if this one works out, great. If not, that's fine too. But we want to put it out and for the board to make those decisions and see what's best. So. And
with that, we're going to invite Allegiance to give us a proposal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
well, this is part of that.
We're trying to look to see what's going to be the best for our community.
No, I don't want to sit up.
Yeah, come on. Or if you want to, you can stay there.
So, interesting opportunity. I know y'all called me once we kicked our service off. There was a question on whether there could be some assistance provided over in this area. Like I told you in the early conversation was, we only offer up assistance when asked. And so we looked at it. The cost to do this business is absolutely the cost to do this business. You may have a few dollar savings here and there, but what it costs to run a service, the question that you always have to ask yourself is, what level of service am I going to provide? And how sustainable is it? And is that level meeting our needs? And as you know, we just recently launched our transport EMS service. We added a 4th truck, which sits in the Lacoste area. And we said from the beginning, we don't need 4 trucks for call volume, we need 4 trucks for distance, so that our citizens are covered, geographically speaking, more consistently. And so that's part of the conversation of, anytime you can eliminate invisible boundaries, you kind of help yourself. And you and your community, the neighbors can work together, and you don't have to worry about whose district is that, who's responsible for that, because the community is everyone's responsibility. When you're in public service, it doesn't matter which district you work for. You're responsible to the community. And so what we did was we typed up what it would cost, what we believe it would cost to provide. We know how much it would cost to provide the service. The big question comes down to what is the billing revenue in this district? And that's the risk for the board is where's the billing, what is the billing revenue? Obviously, Allegiance has been providing service to, they were providing service to our district. We did not go away from Allegiance due to a lack of service. We went away from Allegiance for long-term sustainability. And when I first was hired in ESD1, the Allegiance command staff all came to my swearing in. And I said, I appreciate y'all being here. We've never met each other. And so I don't know what kind of service you provide for us, but I just want to let you know that we're going to bring it in-house and make it sustainable. So at this moment, it's not personal. This is a business decision we're going to make. We took 3 years to put that service in place. And so it wasn't done overnight. It wasn't done within 6 months. It was a 3-year process to build our agency that we've rolled out. So, I've never had anything negative to say about Allegiance. I do believe that as a community grows, having somewhat of a local agency, an agency that only represents that area, I think provides you some consistency. It's consistency with training, consistency with recruiting. Over the last 2.5 years, we've hired 58 personnel, and we haven't had a problem recruiting. We've rolled out our EMS agency. We have 38 paramedics that came to our roster. We're not paying anything crazy. People just want to be part of it. And so it's pretty uncommon for emergency response agencies to be fully staffed. I have 0 openings right now. Y'all know that much like this, ESD6 back in November came and asked us to provide their service. We currently provide their fire response in ESD6. Why is that? They had a gap. So what I've presented you there is what I believe it'll cost, what I believe the revenue will be. We're not a for-profit agency. We're not looking to make money. We're not even really looking to offset, our administration already exists. So you're not having to pay for another administration. That doesn't make any sense. All we're really, if we're involved and you want us to be involved, all we've asked is to cover our cost. And that's as fair as you can get. We can show you every dollar we spend. It's all broke down. We already have our systems in place for delineating the different districts when it comes to payroll, when it comes to all of that. And so we can break down within probably less than 0.5% every dollar that gets spent in each district. I'll be able to break down every dollar retrieved by the 2 medic units that you're currently asking to be provided within your district. Outside of that, as long as we're not supplementing, we're all good. We do things we have a lot more oversight, I think. As a smaller agency, you can have a little bit more oversight. So that's what I think probably your biggest benefit is. And then from a consistency of personnel, from a, and again, I'll never say another organization's doing that. It's just a different process. And yes, we're a fire-based EMS service, but we're a community-based service, period. I don't care whatever the community needs. It is kind of how we approach it. We're approachable. I refuse for anything to be non-transparent. We're not gonna, everything has to be, we have to lay everything on the table. We're transparent in everything we do, and we won't be involved in anything there's any lack of transparency in. And we're gonna be completely transparent with any board that we work with. This is what it is. May not always like it, but I can tell you it'll be the facts, it'll be the truth, and we'll be able to stand behind anything we present you. I know the board looked at providing their own agency, and a lot of those numbers were right. They are. The big difference in this, I think, is a sustainability factor. Two truck services are very, very tough. Very tough from a recruitment side, you have an admin that's running, 2 trucks. It's like, where's the breakover? So there's some efficiency in cost and size, the larger you get. So we currently operate 4 trucks. We own 6. So we have 2 reserves right now. Because every truck needs an oil change, every truck needs new tires, and then every truck is gonna have something that goes wrong with it that puts it out of service. And so those were some of the challenges I think you were gonna be faced with. But again, we weren't involved in that at all. And so we're here to just help the community. We get nothing extra for this. Like there's no stipends built in. It's literally, we can offer up a service. We're willing, our board's willing to assist, and we're willing to assist. We'll be completely transparent about it, and that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, open up for questions from the board. Anything?
I'm gonna let y'all ask the questions. I missed the last meeting, so I'm really
We
not.
didn't even
This is my
discuss this the
first
last meeting.
meeting.
This is first, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, with your proposal, if we were to hire you, would this be an all-inclusive district? So we would go from your 4 plus our 2, and we would be operated as a single district?
Yes. From an operational standpoint, yes. All the expenses will be kept separate for the 2 apparatus that are funded by your district. But yes, there will be no boundaries that, oh, we can't go over there, we can't come help you, and no, you can't help. It's gonna have 24-hour oversight of what is the service demand for the county at this moment, and we'll make things happen and move apparatus around appropriately.
And I don't know if the rest of the board knows your assistant chief. Could you introduce?
Oh, I'm sorry. So and a lot of y'all may not even know me. I didn't even think about that. So Chief Windsor, she came to work with us 2.5 years ago, so roughly. So her primary responsibility coming in was to develop this system. So she helped develop this system, but she is responsible for all the operations within our
EMS?
for fire and EMS for our department. And so she's been in the fire service 14 years, 15 years. So.
What is there, explain to me operationally, because we're, one of the things we're looking for is just establishing the contractual requirements and for response. And how is that going to be? Why would there be a benefit right now for using you guys vice what we've got right now, in your opinion? And what do you see as really the crux of that?
So, yeah, I don't know all the details of what you have. I don't know if you're satisfied with it. I don't know if there's things that need to be worked on. So from that side of it, I can't compare, but I can tell you what you get is direct 24-hour oversight. We've had 0 turnover in 2.5 years. We've turned a couple people, but no one has left our organization. We are recruiting highly talented personnel that want to come work with us. Why is that? There's a good buzz out there about what's going on in our community, in our district. So, you know, and I expect the same if we were to open up positions for additional paramedics. The other, you know, that's probably the biggest benefit is long-term sustainability and just consistency. You're not going to wonder who's working there that day. And then the direct, just detailed daily oversight. We set a pretty high expectation for our personnel, and we demand it every day.
Do you anticipate, I mean, seeing what we have here, what do you anticipate would be your recommendations to the board on how to, would there be recommendations on how to properly cover the area? Do you expect to have personnel at currently at the outstations that we do right now? How do you see it from your perspective and kind of understanding?
So I don't know a lot about your district at this point. I've never done a whole lot of research within the district. Do I believe that trucks ought to be strategically placed? I do. I think the facilities are not what cost you money. So facilities are a one-time cost that then pay off for 30 and 40 years. And so a community, I do know that, I looked it up, I think y'all cover 165 square miles. So for 20 square miles, they have ridiculously good coverage because 2 ambulances come out of the same building at all times. Those other 140 square miles, to me, they're constantly getting the short end of the stick because they never have an opportunity for that 4-minute dispatch, that 4-minute response time.
Then how would you anticipate?
I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. Again, just from the outside looking in, I don't know where your service demand is. But I think you have to look at all of that and then you make those recommendations. For me to come in here today and make those recommendations, it would be just complete, guesswork. But do I believe that emergency response apparatus ought to be placed strategically in your service demand? I do.
So currently we have a unit that's stationed in Natalia for 12 hours a day, and they're sitting at the fire station. We're looking at trying to either purchase other property or build a building or something in the Natalia area to be able to cover that area within that response time. And you had mentioned that if you were brought on board that you could bring other opportunities, maintenance, building, construction, stuff like that. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So understanding that we have, y'all understand that ESDs are responsible for themselves from here to there, from income to expenditure, whether that's human resources, accounts payable, receivable. So we have divisions for each of that. So we have a maintenance division. We have a full-time EVT, emergency vehicle technician. I run 34 pieces of apparatus, and we spent $34,000 in maintenance this year because we do most of it in-house. We also have our Deputy Chief of Support Services is a general contractor. We've built 2 facilities where we were our own GC. He's building one right now for us, doing a remodel. So we're doing a complete remodel of a 8,000 square foot building, and we're gonna do it for about $160,000. Complete gut remodel. And so all of those is just different things that we have available to us. And so as you're looking at a metal building or something like that, that's definitely something we can oversee, deal with from top to bottom, show you every expense of it and save you as much money as possible.
And how would that translate into to billing and contractual obligations?
So we would have to look at the project and whether we looked at, okay, we think it's gonna be a 3-month project, here's his salary for 3 months, you know, whatever it is, I think everything's gotta be open. As far as the cost of buying supplies, they're just straight costs.
Yeah, I understand that.
We have contracts with pretty much every contract supplier right now for construction materials, just because we're on our third building like this that we're doing. So those folks are in place. That's not something that's not out of the norm for us. You know, we're gonna wrap up these 2 builds within the next 3 months that we're doing, and then his responsibility is maintenance at that point. But if there's another build that needs to get taken place, he has the capability to do it.
Gentlemen, anything?
It's all sounding good.
What's that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
We're in the process, or we were, in purchasing a metal building and getting it set up on some land that was donated by the city. Like I said, I missed the last meeting. I don't know where we are on that, but would that be something that your general contractor could oversee?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've done 2 metal buildings so far. So we did a temporary facility up 471, 1283 area where, and the question is whether we do a bolt up or a weld up. So we did a bolt up there just so we put it on land we don't use, or we don't own. So we're gonna move it. But if we're looking at a permanent facility on land you own, we'll save you a little bit more money by doing a weld up, where we literally go and buy all the purlins. We have a welder that's been doing a lot of work for us. He's been our best. We bid it out each time. It's been the same guy that's given us really good pricing, where he welds it up and literally fabricates the building on site. So we haven't done prefab buildings there because there's a markup in those.
What's your experience been with the architects that need to bless off on these buildings?
So in-depthly knowledgeable on the requirements of the law on when an architect must be involved and when you can do it. It's all based on building classification.
Okay.
So if you're doing a metal building, but yet you want to get a temporary or some type of prefab living quarters beside it, then you don't have to, the metal building, as long as they're not connected, that isn't going to be required of an architect because it's not a living quarters.
But what if we did it with the living quarters and inside of the metal building?
The correct way to do it would have an architect. So an architect of record. So there's different scopes to that. Like the remodel we're doing right now, which, and if y'all are familiar with the old Castroville volunteer fire department. So we're doing that remodel as the general contractor, but we have an architect of record. It wasn't a lot of money. I mean, it's money and it's tax money, but to do it right, you must have an architect of record.
Okay.
And so that, and what we negotiated with that architect was they're not overseeing the build. They're not coming out and doing the inspection. You know, there's different levels of involvement, but they are the architect of record. They've signed off on it. They developed the plans and we're building to them.
Okay. Any more on this?
Patrick, who does their billing?
So our billing is done by a third-party group called Emergicon. It was the same group that y'all had, my understanding y'all were looking at Emergicon, correct?
That is correct.
Any more? Anything else? Is there any other questions from the community? An interest in this, or if is there issue with it, or we're trying to get a gauge. And again, this is all about how best do we serve. Do we continue on with what we're doing with Allegiance? Do we look at other options? Do we, we want to make sure we're doing that. So if I really want to hear any comments. Ma'am?
Since you're talking about billing, I guess, who receives the income from billing?
So the income would be received by us, and then we would show what we received and show you our cost, and then that's where we would discuss what the subsidy, if any, is. So,
Which is, that's pretty roughly what we do with the relationship we have with the Legions.
If it's a loss, then does ESD pick that up too?
yeah, no, so, and that's where we have to have an agreement. We're not
Right.
we don't have any history with your district or with their district to know what the billing is. I mean, this is all we know, we roughly believe we know how many calls you run. I don't know how many transports you have. We roughly know that we're gonna bill out on average $2,200 a call. So I don't know, I have to believe, I mean, I've looked at your budget. I know that Allegiance does it for whatever their subsidy is, which is a pretty low number. They're not a for-profit agency. So,
Really a good thing for us. This is the poorest district in our
Right.
community or in our county. So.
so you have to believe there's some type of consistent billing because they're not a for-profit agency.
Right.
I mean, they're not they're
Yeah,
a for-profit
nobody's
agency.
sitting back there getting rich, right?
They're not subsidizing it. Now, I don't think they're making a lot of money off of it by any means. I think they've done y'all really well from a business model, but I can't believe they're subsidizing it. So, without knowing the billing, that just has to be an understanding that, we're gonna show you everything and just, in the end, make sure that we didn't subsidize it.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? I want to make sure we get all the stuff out there. Any questions that come up? Okay. I would invite anybody who does have questions, like when we leave, if there's questions that do come up that from the community, you're welcome to contact me personally, and I'm glad to give you my contact info because we can't always remember the stuff that's going to pop up for these. But this is if were we to do something like this would be a pretty massive change to with the way we've operated, and Legion's has been a good partner for consistency and for the bang for the buck. The price that we're paying is I don't know that how much better we can do, and we really appreciate that out of them. And they still provide good, consistent service. But so this would really need to be, there's got to be a gosh darn good reason for it. And I mean, this is all, again, something that we decide, but it's based on a lot of input from the community. We want to make sure you're involved with that, so. Okay. Well,
And if y'all would get the word out so that, doesn't happen that people go, we didn't hear about this, we weren't notified about this. That's why we're trying to do,
everything
straight up. And Allegiance is gonna,
Absolutely.
I think we're in a 1-year contract, I think is what we're in, right? And that contract expires in October. So we're just looking at what's gonna be the best for our organization.
So is there any numbers being thrown out at the moment or not?
No, we don't have any from Allegiance. No. Oh.
From the offer?
What was the number? Did you have numbers?
So we gave 2 options in there. I believe there's likely a need for a peak time truck. Right now, it doesn't look like there's interest in that. So there was a estimated contribution, including a peak time truck, which would add that would be a 3rd truck to the district. That's not something the district has right now. The district has been contracted to 2 trucks for as long as I've been in the district. So, or as long as I've been in the county. So that would be a dedicated peak truck to the district. That number, I believe, was probably going to come in at around a $600,000 subsidy because that peak truck would be about $350,000. Now, without the peak truck, I think we're going to be in that same ballpark of around $250,000. Somewhere in that ballpark. I don't know. I mean, I know what it's going to cost to run it. I just don't know what the billing is.
And we have every intention. We're going to ask apples to apples from Allegiance and see if what they come back to us with. This is what's best. So everybody open and fair, and we don't want to. There's nobody trying to hide the pee on this one. It's for real. We just want to make sure we're doing the right thing for the community. Okay.
Anything else?
Good. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate the work, and
He's going to be on the next one too.
Yeah, and so Clint's also
I've asked.
helping us
Clint has
trying to help us out with
contracts
some.
with Zoll Manufacturing, And we're in a long-term contract for our EKG monitors. So I asked him if he could talk to Zoll and see if there could be anything done with the contract that we have with them. And he was able to negotiate right now we're in a 10-year contract at $27,234 annually cost for 10 years. So that would be $272,000. He's able to negotiate that down to $24,185, and that was
For 5 years.
for 5 years.
And then you own it. So your 10-year lease was a lease, you didn't own it. Now, you were eligible for upgrades along the way, but you didn't own it. And so this one was 5 years, and then you own it, and at that point, you just pay maintenance and whatever. But that 5 years also includes the maintenance agreement each year.
And there was another option that you were talking about that,
Yeah, I can go over that. So the other option is, because it is a true lease, so the other ones are purchases. You have some purchases that are financed. Once you enter into a finance agreement, you bought it. But because this was a true lease, as a governmental agency, you cannot be held to any lease or contract beyond your appropriations year. And so the option the board does have is to not appropriate this upcoming budget, which would terminate the lease and send them back. The downside to doing that is you paid 2 payments, I think, already, 1 payment. So you've already paid $27,000 and you will have paid that and got 0 out of it. These monitors aren't being used. My understanding, I don't know. No, the monitors are being, something's not being used.
the monitors.
Okay, so the monitors are not being used. So they're sitting in a closet. The community's already paid $27,000 and you've gotten 0 benefit from it. So if you look at going down this other pathway, you already own your you own your trucks, you own some other stuff, then at least that $27,000 doesn't go to waste, and then you own these 2 monitors in 5 years versus just walking away from them and walking away from that money.
And how much is it per year for the lease, or for the lease purchase portion?
I think it's
$24,185.
And so that includes your maintenance.
Yeah.
I would tell you that if you're not, I mean, you know, yeah. But my understanding, your payment's coming due.
Right.
So hold on, let me.
August 1st?
Okay. Okay, so September 1st, let me be clear on that. So you will have paid 2 payments because you're already appropriated for this year. So you will have paid $54,000 and got 0 out of it. I thought it was 2. Because that payment has already been appropriated, you owe it. Now, after that, you can walk away and not appropriate at this next budget. But again, you throw away $54,000.
No, I mean, sunk cost fallacy, but other than that, we would be paying an additional $75,000 over the next 3 years, in addition to that 54, because if we're roughly $25,000 a year for the current system, if we switch over to a purchase.
Read through there, I believe that payment you owe, that first 27, I believe we agreed with them that that would be your first year's payment. So you would owe 4 more. Okay. So you wouldn't owe this year's lease payment?
What's a residual on them in 5 years? What is that? I don't know.
100,000, roughly 100,000 more.
No. What's the equipment worth in 5 years is my question. So that's a question I don't.
We buy used ones for,
They're not much of a difference.
yeah, like, yeah.
35,000 for
Yeah.
the used one.
For what?
35,000 for.
35,000? So it doesn't make any sense for us to even keep the things in my mind. Just doing the quick math, it doesn't make any sense to even hang on to them. But okay, that's something, whole nother, we can have a discussion.
Well, so the biggest thing, the other thing you're paying for in that is the annual maintenance.
The what?
The annual maintenance. So that's
Right, with annual
24,000.
maintenance for something that's parked in a closet
Yes.
is bulk.
Well, if you're not gonna use them, I would agree that, yeah. If for some reason y'all choose to want to ask us to provide your service, it's the same monitors we use.
It is the same ones you
Yes.
use, okay.
Yeah, so we would be able to use all your existing equipment.
Are they in use now?
They are not in use now.
They're sitting in a closet.
It's not, Allegiance doesn't use that equipment, they use a different type. I remember you talking about this before.
And
They use a different type, different
maintenance
stuff.
for the cardiac monitors, actually next month, they've already reached out for the annual maintenance PM.
You also own vents and pumps.
Yes, and the
Auto pulse.
auto pulse.
Yeah. Now, my understanding, auto pulse is on the truck, correct?
As far as I'm understanding, yes.
Pat, do y'all use the auto pulse that we have?
We kept them on the truck because your director wanted them to stay on the truck, so we kept them.
But y'all don't use them?
I believe they've been used.
Okay.
They seem to work quite well.
Okay.
The only, just FYI, when you practice with them, seems like speed is not too bad, but in real life, it slows you down. But if you take the time to do it, in an emergency situation, it does seem to be cumbersome. But so is the Lucas device.
Yeah, we use Lucas.
Anytime you look up a mechanical device, you want to start shifting times, and depending on how many hands on you have on board, is how well you can use the device.
How about the vents and pumps? Do y'all use those?
We do the San Antonio, we don't use yours. There's no real need out here unless you're doing hospital transfers. I've never in my life made a 911 call where a vent was in use. That's just our.
Right.
But we use them because of the hospital critical transports, so a lot of patients have vents. We also don't use the pumps for IVs. It's a big expense for a short-term use.
Okay. So there's an option to save some money, and I just wanted to bring this to y'all to think about it for our next meeting so we could, do that.
And that's a decision that'll need to be made sooner than later. I don't know when the next payment's due. I haven't.
September 1.
September 1, okay. I haven't confirmed with them whenever they needed.
And you had mentioned something about they might work on the price a little bit more once we commit to what we're gonna do.
Correct.
Okay,
It won't be drastic. But
right,
it'll be, when I spoke with her, to really go through the reworking of the lease to a purchase, it was gonna take a lot more people involved. And so she basically gave the worst case, like, we know it's not gonna be more expensive than this, but I'm not gonna put a bunch of personnel hours into it if that's not really what's gonna happen.
okay.
This isn't normal for them. This is something, this is as a favor.
All right.
Well, any questions on that, guys? I do appreciate you taking time. You didn't have to do that, so thank you for digging in with that one and using the baby kissing relationships and for just to give us at least some other options out there, because we've been doing our best to reduce those additional costs that we don't need to, because it all just goes back into the community, and we don't have to ask for as much. So.
And just as a point of note, really what we were looking at, our pricing that we were looking at really included y'all continuing, including those payments.
Sure, yeah.
We were going to show you your total expense and your total income off of, and whatever that was, that's what you're going to owe if there's a gap. So the lease payments or the purchase payments, all of that for the equipment you own, that's all kind of included. And not kind of, it is included. Like, we're going to show you, this is what you're paying, this is what we generated in revenue in your district, this is what it costs to provide your service. This is the subsidy that either you're going to pay to us, or you're going to pay your lease payment directly, or whatever that is. So just to be clear on that, it wasn't you were going to continue to pay that and then, but in the end, it's just whatever the cost is. I mean, that's literally what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Everybody. Okay. You, sir?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Chief, appreciate it.
And again, thanks again for taking the time for it. You didn't have to, but we appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we table these two items to the next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Okay, next we're going to go on to a budget workshop, and we're going to review, discuss, and amend the 24-25 budget, and then discuss and generate the 25-26 budget. So with that, Mr. Dubose.
So I received the preliminary numbers from the tax assessor, and before protest, they're predicting that our tax will be $781,463.96. Now, of course, there's the protest, so we don't know where that number's going to end up. I don't think it's going to be much from there. And although the tax statements that were sent out to us did not include the over 65 and disability exemptions on there, Jerry, you talked to them.
They do now.
And they're included. So it's supposed to be included in the preliminary numbers that we got. And so with that, then I went in and Christie and I went in and came up with a proposed budget that's a work in progress. And the numbers I presented to y'all, can you bring that up? So the 781 is there. I'm estimating somewhere around a $20,000 loss from the protest. And I don't really have any history with that, so I'm estimating that to be worst case scenario. With that, then you have the delinquent taxes. Let's go back up to the interest rate. The interest rate there is 13.7. We're going to go with Texas Class, and it looks like they're going to be able to give us probably 4 times that amount in interest back to us, depending on how much money that we invest with them. Then you've got your delinquent taxes. We're just estimating that at 10% over what's going to be this current year. And so they give you the total with a 10% contingency taken out of $853,187. Go ahead and scroll down. Then you've got,
It went all the way down.
yeah, I did. Payroll taxes, we're estimating that to decrease. We've talked about, and again, this is all preliminary, if we hired an administrator for this ESD, that we would hire them at $50,000
Total compensation.
plus benefits.
Yeah, the total, 50,000 was the total compensation package. That's what we discussed.
And so that would reduce our payroll tax liability. The number here that's current, the 6,000, that's, we're trying to break everything down, so it's changing this year. We're only actually paying into it $500 a year for the service for the license that they provide for us, and then the liabilities are 5,000. That's convoluted, the number that's there right now. So that's why it's going to be 5,500 instead of what it currently is. Then the compensation package, 50,000 salary with compensation, and that's our estimate of what it's going to be at if we hire somebody. Go down. Then you got our normal operating stuff there. Pest control, everything, I just estimated a 10% increase on everything that we're currently spending. The Zoll, it's the contract, for the units, the contract is $67,200. If that currently Allegiance is paying our lease, so that's going to zero out and that number will show up on the bottom. The auto pulse is $14,000 for the year, and the vents are $10,000 for the year. And then the cardiac monitor with the negotiated price that Chief Cooke is talking about, $24,200. and estimated radio repairs. Again, those are the units, the radios that are on the unit. And obviously, purchasing a radio for $5,000 nowadays doesn't happen. So that would be some kind of used something. Believe it or not, those radios range between $8,000 and $12,000 a unit. So that would be, if we had to purchase something, it would be a used radio from an agency. And then the contract with Allegiance, I estimated somewhere with a 10% increase, and or if we go with ESD1, the district coordinator, that's something that's going to be negotiated. I just stuck that number in there, and Christie has not had an opportunity to negotiate a contract with us. I just did a 10% increase, so that brought that up to 12.4. And that's going to be, again, something that's negotiated between us. And then all the rest of the stuff is a breakout. It was all lumped into one sum. This is a breakout of everything that we're paying, licensures for different things. You can see that some of the things are zeroed out. We're not going to have a DHS license, which was for our first responder organization. And you can see each item that's broken out in there. Scroll down some more. Workers' comp is not going to change. If we hire an individual, it's going to be the same amount because we were paying for one individual. And then the vehicle insurance, we actually were paying insurance on both the ambulances, and currently Allegiance is paying the insurance and has absorbed that cost. So this is just for the one that was command vehicle that's going to turn out to be an administrator vehicle for the district. And then the commercial policy was estimated to be at $9,000. Even though it shows that it's zero, DFIS said the breakdown would be $6,500. And then, so that brings the total less than what was, or more than was predicted last year, but that's the real breakdown of what's going on there. Vehicle maintenance, the $6,000 was actually for the box and the EMS first responder box that was put in the back of the vehicle. So that cost is going to come down to $2,000. The building estimated repairs is $4,000. And then decals, if we buy another reserve apparatus, that gives us money to spend on decals to, show that it's ours. Gas, that would just be, Allegiance is absorbing the cost for fuel. So that would be our contract with the agency. This would be for fuel for the administrator's vehicle registration, saying $5,000 estimate for repairs on that used vehicle. Then you go into audit/tax prep. It was $7,500 this year. I just gave a 10% increase, just, everything's gonna go up. Legal fees were $5,500, and a lot of those fees were paid while Ken Campbell was down here for the reorganization and all that stuff. So I estimated at $7,000. We probably won't be there. Newspaper articles seems like,
Man, we paid a lot for the newspaper.
man,
Why do we gotta pay so much to those guys?
that newspaper. Anyway, so we have to post notices for our tax liability and all that. It's one page, full page ad, and so that's the cost of all of that. PR. So we've only spent $70 this year so far. The PR basically is for like the Bluebonnet Festival, stuff like that, so that we can set up a booth and introduce our stuff, introduce ourselves to the community, and we really haven't done a very good job of that.
Nope.
The appraisal district, that's a fee that they charge us for figuring out what we're gonna pay, and then the tax office, that's the fee they charge us for collecting our taxes, and nothing we can do about that. Estimated for the tuition, $5,000, that's for the board members to be able to go to the mandated classes. Currently, only 120 was spent, that was spent on myself and Juan, and it's kind of convoluted there because things were moved into different items, and now like I said, we've broken it all apart. So we're estimating $5,000 for tuition, fuel and reimbursement for us driving up there, hotel fees, per diem. All of that is just the best guess estimate, and we'll know more this year when we go through.
Is that why we have 15,000 on ESD4 training or travel?
That is correct, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, because we didn't estimate it well.
Well, it was all lumped into
all lumped together.
that one number. And
No, we didn't
broke
categorize
apart.
it, we didn't break it down.
Yeah, so we broke it apart so that we could see exactly where we're spending money.
Okay.
Uniforms, that's if we hire somebody, that'd be a uniform replacement. Scroll down some more. We don't have the fire alarm system that didn't work anyway, that we were paying for nothing. You can see internet fiber. We spent $10,000. We estimated $5,000 last year, and that's the buyout for what we have here. So that is, Christie's still trying to negotiate with them to get us bought out of that program. But that's where we're at currently right now. iPads, again, that number is high because we bought out the contracts that we had with AT&T and Apple. And then utilities, that's not going to change. You're going to see those go up, as Christy pointed out. When we get into the winter months, we start really burning through the electric bill. So I thought we were going to be able to lower that, but she's like, yeah, when we start getting into winter months, it's going to burn
Like a
through.
winter week, what are you talking about? We're in Texas.
Yeah, winter week, there you go. And the VTEX is the phone service. If we decide that we're going to do phone service here, that's through,
And it was confirmed, I got the thing this morning, we do not have to pay for it. It is free. They're gonna give it to us for free.
right, and that's through Rock Solid, which is now VTEX service, right? Yeah. And then West Texas Gas, I'm estimating that's gonna drop. Christy was giving me a hard time. She's like, again, the winter months is gonna go up. So
What do we have on gas here?
we have,
The heater. is
Water
the
heater?
gas.
and the stove upstairs.
Okay.
So on the electric, on the direct energy, it's usually June, it's July, August, and September. We're looking at $700
AC,
to
that-
$800 in AC. And then of course you'll have some of it going in, and then the rest.
Is it ice box up there? What is it?
No, it's because the roof is open up there.
Yeah.
That vent is open and we've got to get it closed, and there's no insulation in the ceiling up there. So, yeah, it gets pretty warm up there, doesn't it, Pat?
Extremely.
Yeah.
That's why there's AC units in
Should be good for
bedrooms.
winter though, right? That'd be good for winter.
Yeah, we look forward to that few months of winter.
Stay down here.
So this dollar figure, the expenses included the payment for the ambulances, and this dollar figure is without the payment for the ambulances, with the leasing agency paying for the units. We have a leftover surplus of $312,000. Chief Cooke presented if we wanted to do a peak unit, it's $350,000, and that shows us a deficit of $37,000. Without the peak unit, we've got the $312 left over, and then these capital expenditures are if we bought a spare unit or if we put up a building or purchase property or whatever we're looking at doing. So that would come out of what we have in the bank or with a loan for the building. Again, these are rough draft numbers. They're not ready to, be solid. We've still got to negotiate contracts, and we need to find out what Allegiance is going to present to us, and then we need to negotiate the contract with Christy as our contractor coordinator.
Good start.
Good start, yeah. I agree. Okay, gentlemen, any questions from you on this?
Where'd you get the 312 number, Pat?
The 312 is,
Budget surplus?
yes, that would be the surplus left over.
Okay, well, it didn't print on mine because it's blue, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is this is with the leasing agents, which is Allegiance is paying our lease
Yeah.
for our units, or whoever. If we don't have to pay the lease on the units, then that's the surplus that we have there.
And what was the surplus again, 312 what?
312, 256.60. If we're paying the lease, then it's 245, 56.60.
That's surplus
To
with
be,
that.
to be clear, I mean, no matter what, I guess you're kind of not paying the lease. It's gonna either be offset by billing with them, or if you chose to wanna come our direction, we're just gonna show you all expenditures. So that would include your lease, like I've got that kind of figured in there on what I think billing may be. So no matter what, that's going to be, so probably maybe the main difference is, obviously Allegiance is gonna have a flat fee, right? I mean, it's gonna be what their fee is. You have the potential of it being less or more. It definitely wouldn't be a lot more, but you have the potential of it, being totally offset by billing. I don't know. We don't expect a profit margin.
Like I said, this is a good guess.
Yeah, and I would say that net or ordinary income, that's already gone, because we gotta go build Natalia's.
Yeah.
Oof. And that's, well, we're gonna dip into savings.
Yeah, and like I said, Christy and I worked on these numbers on Monday, and so that's the current numbers.
Peak unit. That's
Yeah.
where we gotta do a really deep analysis on that one, because we just don't have the money for it.
And there's not the money in collections for it, and that's why.
That's right.
That's why Allegiance presented a high number too, is
Yeah,
because.
I understand completely from
It's
all
100%
cases,
cost
yeah.
for the agency to do a peak unit.
The biggest question, and this is a conversation that I would have, is you definitely need some statistics.
You what?
You definitely need statistics. And the statistics that I would be looking to show you, what you should be asking for no matter what, is how often is my district not covered? Right? Because remember, people are paying to have a medic unit available. They're not paying for it to run calls, they're paying for it to be available. And I think if you have, right, I mean, it's if you have a statistical analysis on how often you do not have one available in this area, I think it would scare your community.
We were previously watching that pretty close.
Yeah.
And that oversight is no longer around, so we're not able to capture that same data the same way.
Well, Pat is presenting.
He does, yeah.
The best numbers that he can through his organization,
Yeah.
so we're trying at that, and that's why, none of us here are full-time, so that's why we wanted an administrator or somebody here that's gonna be full-time to be able to do all of that stuff for us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any more comments from the board?
Good job, Pat.
Yeah, this was not,
Oh, that's the numbers that Johnette had sent us.
yeah, thanks to both of you for this so much.
Oh, and she gave me a breakdown. Okay, I didn't see this one. So this is the exemption breakdown. So yes, it's on there, Jerry. Did you get this page?
Preliminary total, yep.
Yeah.
That's a different one.
Yeah, bring that one up if you would.
So that last page is just showing you, but it should be on the bottom of so that last page is showing you your codes and how much is charged to it, but on your preliminaries, it'll show exemptions at the bottom, and it'll show net taxable.
So it's on back and front.
Oh, okay. So this
Yeah,
was,
it's 251,000 total. Yeah, that's our total. That's the exemptions that we have on our books, that our assessed values are at, ooh, geez, that's pretty
So
good.
it'll be listed.
Oh, sorry, it'd be 1 and 18 to do. Oh, but this is total exemptions for everything, not just for us. It's $251 million. That's not just us. Our assessed value is 1.8 billion and for our area, but then
Taxable is 1.5.
right. Yeah, the net taxable. But that's not what we're getting, and then we're what, 3% or something, or whatever the percentage rate is. What are we at?
4.9.
4.9, yeah.
Yeah.
4.9% of 1.5 mil, or 1.5 bill.
0.049.
0.049, yes.
Yeah, 4.9, yeah. 4.9%, yeah.
Anybody got any questions? Again, trying to put it all out there.
How much did y'all kick in sales tax last year?
So far currently, we have taken in, scroll back up. So far currently, we've taken in 98,907. We predicted to take 96,000, so we've taken in more in sales tax than we predicted.
And that price does not include the ones that we just got.
Yeah, so that's why I'm predicting 148 in sales tax next year.
That's 6 months from now, if it hasn't included those, which is the last quarter, and there's still another quarter to go, that's just half the year's worth of sales tax,
Yeah.
probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he's got 148.
So
next
since
year.
everything's brand new, we have, we're just trying to guess, and nobody can give us a best estimate for that.
I think I've been collecting a couple of years now. It's not official.
No, sales tax, we went in with the fire department, the same time the fire department went in for sales tax.
It's been over at least a year collection. Pretty sure. Maybe more.
I mean, as we go along, and there's, I'm assuming that there's still gonna be small businesses that have not made those collections yet, or they're figuring out their systems.
Yeah, and if you're looking at, this doesn't have last year's numbers on there, and so we would have to go through QuickBooks and do all that stuff.
No.
Not that we've got it right now.
Website, proof is there.
I can give you those numbers.
Are you reporting your sales tax on month paid or month earned?
Whatever they send me on a piece of paper.
So, and the reason I say that is, the start of your fiscal year, December will actually be your first, because, so generally your auditor will have you reported on the month it was paid within your community, so you don't get your final sales tax number until January for your if you're an October fiscal year, because the check you get is for 2 months prior, when it was paid within your community. So I'm just curious on that number you earned or paid.
There's actually,
So, just something to look at. Just, when you go to audit the sales tax, they're probably gonna want you to do it on the month the community paid it, which means you don't have your final sales tax number until January.
so we started sales tax on January 2024, so we should would have hit the year.
So it's been a year and a half.
This is
So
what-
can you run a report for the last fiscal year?
Yep.
So that'll come up, so she can see that?
Let me see what
Oh, you're in the,
the bank account.
yeah. We'll give you the numbers so that everybody doesn't have to sit here. We'll get you the numbers.
I get off the sales
Yeah,
tax.
It's on the sales tax.
And it's on the website.
Okay.
But it's in your receivables is my question.
Yeah.
Don't count.
Okay, good? Everybody?
128, 92.92.
Last year.
All right, agenda item number 6 is our
128.
regular meeting. Our next regular meeting will be July 9th, so we'll see you back here in a week. 7 o'clock. Everybody, be glad to see everyone. Happy.
We need to review the amended budget. We have to amend our budget.
We have to amend our current budget?
Well, we have to vote to amend what we've actually got. Okay. So we'll need a motion for that, because we actually spent it, yeah. Thank you, Christy, for keeping us on track.
I was getting ready, I was like,
Yep, see, thank you.
So, this is what I sent you guys. This was taken off of everything that was approved when we went into it. The reg is my recommendations to amend it to make it even out.
Well, these are actuals.
Current is this. That's actual right there. Scroll down, let's look at it. I didn't catch this, so I didn't come prepared for this.
Explain your methodology, what you did here.
So what I did was on the first line, it's the approved budget that was approved last year. The second, the middle one is the current. So then what I did is I went ahead and kind of, in your report that I sent you, you guys got a 3-year workout.
Yeah, I was too busy doing these numbers. I didn't.
So basically what I did is I took the last 3 fiscal years, kind of put it all together, put a worksheet together so that way you could see the last 3 years. So then when I did this, all I did was add what was previous, added it on to what we've already currently, and this is where the numbers come from.
So when they did the hire, they didn't figure out medical, dental, and vision,
Correct.
and then
But wait, I know what you did. I'm trying to tease it out so everybody else can understand what she did there. But essentially what she's done is, she went through and said, okay, we overspent budget on this one, so this is where we need to be. And there's an overestimation on there too, so on everything. Just so we can reconcile and
Be zero at the end.
be legal.
Yep. So with everything, we're zero at the bottom.
Gentlemen, have
You
you,
can table it for next week.
I think about it.
you understand the methodology, what she did there?
Yes, yes.
Any questions about that or any
Can you
concerns?
spread it out for the next meeting?
What's that?
You can table it for the next meeting. That way you guys have a chance to review it. I just skip it because we have to amend this budget so that way we can amend it and then accept the upcoming budget.
Okay. Can you print it out, please?
Of course I can.
so because I didn't come prepared to do this presentation, I would like to make a motion that we table this until the next meeting, and then
Next week?
we can do the approval.
You want to put it on the agenda first, number one we do?
Yes.
Is that acceptable for everybody? Okay. So I got a motion to table for until next month or next week, and then we address it as first agenda item.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so carried. Need to make sure that's,
Thank you for
very much.
bringing that to our attention.
Does that make you happy, Peggy? Okay, with that, we're going to move on to agenda item number 6. And our next regular meeting will be next week, and you will hear us talk more about the budget. So, agenda item number 7, around the room comments. Is there any comments from the community? Anyone? Thoughts, ideas? Good, bad, or
What
indifferent?
was the question? I was talking.
Do you have any comments? Besides, talking to your neighbor there.
Hey,
Sorry, that was me.
nose in the corner.
Hey, Patrick, I got a comment. When I went to college in '75, y'all went to college. I took a computer programming. What?
Nothing.
Shut up. I took a computer programming class. At that time, it was punch cards. And our first assignment was to add 2 + 2 on this computer. And it took a stack of cards like this. I said, I don't need to be doing it. They said, I dropped the class. That's why I don't like to do it.
I didn't know they had college that long ago.
Yeah, I did.
I was 4.
That's back when it was Texas A&I.
Oh, boy.
Anyway.
All right. With that, no, thank you for everybody for attending. We are going to go into a very short closed session.
It's not on the agenda.
I know it's not,
Well,
but we actually need to.
what's it for? Why are we
It's to
going-
discuss personnel and real estate.
Sorry, I'm just.
Yeah, great. I'm good. Whatever you want to know. With that, I'm going to thank everybody and ask you to excuse us. And then we'll come back and call for adjournment once we're done. Okay. Need a motion to reopen, we go, or we're just going to reopen. There we go. All right. We voted as deliberated. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
To make a motion to adjourn.
Anybody else?
I'll second it.
Second, sir?
I think you need to tell them that there was no action taken.
Oh,
Yeah, you gotta say,
there we go. No action taken.
We're learning.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're teaching.
I got a motion to adjourn. I got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Let's go home, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for your evening.
There you go.